just to get deeper in that stuff, when you say have a successful launch, right? You're actually associating what the definition of a successful launch. So it means like, okay, whether it's selling through a number of units, whether it is becoming profitable on the partnership you're doing, how quickly do we actually want to sell through that? And then there's strategies associated to that launch metric that you want to do, which your team is also putting like numerical numbers behind. So it's very tangible, exactly what they want to achieve.
Drop the mic, Nish. Do you guys run your life like this, your personal life?
Yes, I have a top 5 for my personal life as well. Like every month I have a top 5 for my personal life.
You know what's interesting about you two? Michael and I are polar opposites of brains. I'm way over this way and he's way over that way. But you two actually are, to me, similar.
In this sense, so Nish actually taught me to be data-driven because by nature, I'm extremely creative and I veer more towards you, Lauren, where like I'm organized in the way that like there's like a method to my madness, but it's because of Nish, and we've been together for like 12 years now, that I'm able to think this way, where it's like there's like a lot of focus behind everything that I do. Like everything that I do in my life is like data driven now. And like I'm not naturally like that.
Okay, but what does that mean in your personal life? Like, what do you mean it's data driven in your personal life? You mean like you setting goals of how much money you want to make? Setting goals.
Nish is smirking.
I want to understand how you apply all these practices to your personal life, because Michael's gonna like get a boner. He loves this shit so much.
So for example, I was saying to Lauren, Michael, I think you'll be happy about this because I'm part of Dear Media. I was telling her that when it comes to my podcast, I'm a very data-driven person in the sense that I want to know what people want to listen to. Like, what are they interested in? And I get a hint of that by looking at my numbers. And so when I'm talking to my producer at the end of every month, I'm like, I need to know, like, what are my top performing episodes? Like, where are people putting their focus? And
what's your best episode?
Ooh, honestly, guys, it's been my solos, which is really shocking to me.
No, that's not shocking.
It's not shocking. Do you know, I mean, I keep saying this to everybody. If you put the Dear Media hat on, like the audience I've seen, I mean, not just with this show, but I've seen across a lot of the shows. Now I see a lot of the data, like they come for the host, and people forget that sometimes. They think it's just like a guest.
Yeah.
It's like the guest is only going to do so much. The people have to love the host.
But that was the data-driven piece, because I was like, I don't want to do solos. And like my producer was like, that's always in your top 10 episodes. Like, please do more solos. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll try it. I don't know why people care, but they do. And, so that was like a data-driven piece. Or like another one with health, for example, is I noticed my HRV levels were very low, okay? It's because I have thalassemia, which is like a genetic disease disorder, whatever you want to call it. And I really wanted to work on that. And I wanted to work on my resting heart rate, also to do with my thalassemia. So I was like, whatever wellness practices I do is catered towards like working on these two numbers and these two numbers only. And that was like my life's focus on wellness was like to do with that. So that's what I mean by data driven. Like I look like, of course, not everything is metric driven, but these are just like examples of certain things that are metric driven, even in my life.
When it comes to planning a future, are you guys like, I don't know, I rehearse my future in my head every single morning. I will rehearse not only how it looks, but how it feels. Joe Dispenza, shout out. I will literally feel grateful for things that have not happened to me as I'm rehearsing my future. I swear to fucking God, it works. I do it every single morning. Michael knows not to bother me. You did bother me the other day and I almost beat your ass. But do you guys have things that you do to really plan your future? You strike me as two people that do.
You guys, I'm going to tell you guys the craziest story, okay? So it was a long road to get our US visa, okay? Like we're Canadian and it was just like long because of COVID. It was like a whole thing. And every day in my journal, every fucking day, I wrote about the very specific home I was living in West Hollywood. This home did not exist, okay? It was a figment of my imagination. I wasn't even legally in the country, but I was like, this is my house. It has this much natural light. This is what my kitchen looks like. This is my backyard. This is how my life is going to be. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to make coffee in this corner. Like it was so specific. Shit you not, the house that we live in, like I've looked at old journal entries and it's exact. So when like Lauren, you're talking about like, do you have specific ways of planning my future? No, I am psychotic because I'm a very visual person and I need to talk about how a place, that future kind of makes me feel, and I'm very granular about
that's not surprising to me at all. I think I had a meeting with some of the team members at Dear Media early on. And I remember telling them like, listen, like I'm living in 2024 already. That's where my mind is. I'm like, my mind is not in 2021. It doesn't exist here. Like I'm actually already living there. And I think the reason people get in so much trouble when it's building a business or a relationship or a life is they have no idea where they're going or where they want to go. It's just, they're just running around like a ship in the wind without a rudder. They just have, there's no vision or and no belief of where they're actually going to go. They just, I'm going to go through life and one day I'll figure this. Like, no, you have to have a vision. You have to have a goal. And not only that, you have to actually in your brain see yourself already as that person living in that space. Easier said than done, because if you don't, you have nothing to aim for.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people get in trouble. It's like, if you don't, it's not even like the people use that word manifestation. It's not manifestation. It's actually like the firm belief that you already are that thing living that way. And that's what gives you the target to get there.
And I think like you have to have tangible practices that will lead you to that point.